Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of Base Hits and Banter. I am one of your hosts, Sam Fischer, here with
Haylie McCleney, me.
that's you.
That's
And we're
me.
Halo. Listen, I think the last week getting our first episode out, very exciting. But you know what? This
Yes.
feels even more exciting because now we're building a routine.
Yes. It does. It feels great. I'm excited. It was a great weekend of softball. Happy to be
Yep.
back here recording this episode. And yeah, I'm excited to dive into the ESPN USA Softball Top 25 poll.
Let's go. Listen, let's not waste any time in diving in physically, metaphorically, because of all the water that happened this weekend. We do make a dive. Terrible pun, but let's talk about Clearwater.
Yeah, we have to. I had the fortune of being in Clearwater, got to see so many friends, so many awesome people in the softball community for a day because of the rain. I will
Mhm.
say, like, the games that I was able to watch and follow, first of all, I think Amanda Scarborough said this on air that Clearwater is the place where pitchers' ERA goes to die.
Whew.
And it was an absolute, it looked like a home run derby every game that I was able to watch. LSU, Northwestern, Georgia, Florida State, like that final score was 20-10. Like that's not a
Insane.
football score, people.
Yeah,
That is a softball score. And
insane.
I watched Jada Kearney from Georgia. This kid can absolutely swing it. I
Yeah,
watched her. It literally looked like the ball went 350 feet. Like it would have been out in any Major League Baseball park, I think. Like
so dreamy.
dreamy swing. But like so many great games. It's unfortunate because the rain came and the winds blew and softball was canceled. There are so many good games that were supposed to happen on Saturday and Sunday too.
Yeah.
So, and someone brought this up, I think, on social media where it was like, that could really come back to affect some RPIs when we get later on in the season making selections, those games being canceled.
Yeah.
Florida State, Tennessee, like UCLA
Yeah.
had a couple of good games and they played really well against FSU on
Hmm.
Friday. Like it felt like they were kind of getting out of it maybe a little bit, finding a way to
Yeah.
compete and stay in some games, but I don't know, it's gonna be tough. And then I don't know if you saw Florida and Oklahoma State just randomly decided to play on a Monday night
Yeah.
after all the rainouts this weekend. So that
What
was
a
pretty,
pivot.
yeah, like so fun. They got it together in like an hour. They like Kenny Gajewski sent Walton a text and was like, "Hey, you want to play?" And pretty much like 3 hours later, they had umpires, they had the broadcast going.
So
So
cool.
yeah, freaking awesome.
We
But
love a pivot. I
it
read
was
a
fun.
stat between Thursday and Friday of the tournament. There was 271 runs scored, which is almost 100 more runs scored than last year's Thursday and Friday. That is an average of 14 runs a game. Halo, 14. That is 2 touchdowns.
Two touchdowns, two
Some
tutties.
some teams don't score 2 touchdowns in football.
I don't understand it. So what do you think it is? Do you think like there were some theories being thrown around? The ball's hard, there's just some theories. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
What's interesting is that the ball is different this year,
mhm,
but I don't know if it is different in the way of it being harder, like, maybe hotter or colder. So clearly the change has not affected it in a poor way. So I'm really curious, when people throw out the numbers of like this ball is 0.864 letter this. I don't know what that means.
yeah,
But I do know there was a change for this year. And I was going to ask you the same question because I will not lie to you and I hope that people don't take this personally, but I did see some fatties served up over the dish.
correct.
And
Yes,
that no matter
yes,
who you are, no matter who you're throwing to at this level, the ball should go out of the park.
yes,
I did
totally.
see some good hitting. I saw some hot, like some pitchers' pitches sent out of the yard,
Hmm.
which you give the credit to the hitters there of doing a good job with a tough pitch.
For sure.
But yeah, I did see some served up.
Hmm.
Um, which at this point in the season, you do it, you see it, you're like, you know what, I should have probably put that a little bit more inside or a little more down.
Yeah, but to your
So,
point, I don't know how you felt about this on broadcast, when you were watching on broadcast, but me
mhm.
being there, it felt like the zone was beyond small.
Yes, I also
Like
felt that on broadcast. Yes.
beyond small. So I felt like the pitchers
Yeah.
really didn't have a choice unless you have like a Cat Osterman sort of movement to a pitch that's over the wide of the plate, or you have like a Monica Abbott type 80 mile an hour curveball audio, like, you know what I mean? Like, unless you had something that dominant, it was going to get hit, and more than likely it was going to get hit hard. And I just think pitchers were like really trying to just figure it out. And it was a lot of these teams too that don't have like a solidified ace yet. Like Florida State comes to mind, young staff. UCLA comes to mind, young staff. LSU, I don't think has, maybe Berzon, who threw against Oklahoma State and looked really good, but to me, that's more of a pitch by committee as well. Like you've got young kids trying to figure it out, a different ball, a super tight zone, and really experienced hitters. And I think that's a recipe for what we saw, which was
many runs,
many runs, many long games.
I think that's a good point. I think that the zone was tight. I watching the Florida State UCLA game at one point, I think it might have been the fourth inning there. Florida State had 10 free passes. And that's not a program that does that. So I did think when I was watching, it's like, number one, how are these hitters taking those pitches? And number two, how are they balls? So very good point there in the factor of some free bases, but also some balls served up, because where else are you going to throw it? You don't want to walk.
Right.
You don't want to keep walking people. But I did want to talk about a couple of teams that surprised me this weekend.
Yes, please. Let's do it.
I think that Tennessee had trouble scoring. I still think they look good. I think that it's tough though. They just couldn't score. But it's you can't score and you lose 1-0 or 2-1. You're in a decent spot versus if you're losing 9-0, 10-0, right? The other thing is Wisconsin is kind of surprising me in these tough games. They're giving tough teams. It was a very good battle for them this weekend. I think Wisconsin, Georgia was a good game to follow, and Wisconsin had it till the end, and I think had a couple of errors. I can't remember, but Georgia just edged him out a little bit. But yeah, I thought Wisconsin was giving really good teams really good games.
Yes, totally agree with you. They were. I think it's hard for teams like that in that tournament because everybody draws so much attention on like the big primetime games, and so you come in as a favorite. Like Georgia should have won that game. Like in people's eyes, should have won that game by a lot of runs. Right. Georgia's got to focus on the Florida States, whoever else they're playing in that tournament, and they're like, oh, we're just playing Wisconsin, whatever. And it can be really easy to fall into that trap. And Wisconsin, like when they were playing, you could tell they wanted to be there. They were super competitive, and they just had a chip on their shoulder. It was like, no, like, forget you. Like we're here to ball and we're here to compete. I thought, speaking of Georgia though, that like, I think they won the weekend in my mind because Georgia has always been one of those teams that they're very competitive. They're going to hit, they're going to pitch, they're going to beat certain people. But I think the biggest thing with Georgia is like, they haven't won like a really, really big game in a really big moment. Okay. And I think them beating Florida State the way that they did after losing to them in supers last year, to me, it just made like a huge statement for them. And these kids' swings, like Tony Baldwin is awesome. He's an assistant on the national team. He's great. One of the brightest hitting minds ever. They squared up everything. I mean, they scored 20 runs, obviously, but they squared up literally every single pitch. They weren't chasing anywhere. They were super disciplined. You could tell they had a plan. You could tell they had an approach. And their pitching looked really good all weekend. Like not elite by any stretch of the means, but doing enough to win the game.
Get the job done.
And get out. Yeah. Georgia impressed me a lot. LSU impressed me a lot. Still undefeated, by the way. It's played a very, very tough. I think they had a tough draw in Clearwater. I would have liked to see them play the rest of those games out, but still undefeated. Like hanging out and finding ways to win. They beat our friend Andrea Filler and Northwestern.
Tough
what was
game,
the final of that one? 13-12 or
12?
Something like that?
Yeah, 13-12. 25 runs.
A pitcher's duel. But as was on par for the entire Clearwater tournament. So.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I think, man, I bet you it was fun to watch in person. Before
It
we
was.
transition, want to ask, what did you think about the leave early home run callback? Here's my thought before you answer. The way that she came off the base, I was wondering if it wasn't, we are killing them. Let us let off the gas a little.
Right.
And get called out. And that is the way it looked to me. But I would love to know what you think, because you were obviously there.
It's tough because I do think it was one of those situations where this rain has downpoured. We don't know if we're going to be able to complete the 5 innings. So maybe we just want to get out of this inning where we have a 10-run lead and we want to go back onto the field and get 3 quick outs so we can make sure it's a complete game. Because if you don't get through that 5th inning, none of those stats count.
Right.
So I think that's where it was coming from, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it was. I don't like the timing of it. Looked very terrible, right?
Yeah.
Because the girl hits an absolute tank, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, she left early. No tanks allowed for you.
Yeah.
So if I was the girl that hit the tank, I'd be a little upset because I'm like, finally, you know what I mean? But no, I do think it was Baldwin trying to make sure that they got the win. The timing of it, though, was a little
just a bummer.
Just suspect, yeah.
Just a bummer.
Because it didn't look that obvious to me that she left early.
It wasn't, because she casually just kind of walked off.
Yeah.
At least for what we saw on the screens was tough angles. I saw a few different angles, but I never saw the angle of the pitcher and the runner in the same line of vision. So yeah, it just was tough all the way around.
Yeah, it could have been too. They could have said something to the umpire to watch for it, but they didn't inform the hitter of that. So like I don't know.
Way to get your swing off though, girl.
Yeah, heck yeah. It counts in my book. I'm gonna put a little asterisk next to her. Next to her home run stats. I do want to give a shout out. We haven't discussed anything but Clearwater, but I do want to give a shout out to your Loyola Marymount Lions. Another big weekend. Let's talk about it.
Listen, I'm so proud of them. Just beating the Ducks. Not only beating the Ducks, but shutting them out 4-0 on Friday. I mean, did they go the next day and absolutely get their little tushies handed to them? Yeah. But they handed some tushies on Friday. So
yes, they did.
Yeah, really, that's what I love. I know I said this last time, but Taraya is going in there and she is saying, we are having a 1 RPI. We are getting these girls in front of the best competition so that when WCC play comes around, they're prepared to win a conference championship and go into regionals and compete. So it is they have a tough preseason schedule, and they're competing, and they're just making me so proud all the time.
Amazing. Really, really awesome. It was so cool to watch. I was like, I cannot wait to bring this up on the podcast with Sam, because the Lions are lioning, and it's great. Yeah. Oregon also happened to drop a 2 to Texas A&M this weekend. So I think they're home next weekend, Oregon is, so maybe they can bounce back. But A&M's
taking no prisoners. They said, all right, you want to play against us? Too bad, because you're going to have a short game in 5 innings.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And Mississippi State, not for nothing too. Mississippi State also beat Utah. This weekend, and I believe they beat somebody else.
I did.
Who was that?
I just was looking at this too. Who did they beat? They beat San Diego State, which San Diego State is receiving votes right now for the top 25.
Yes.
But they also beat Oregon twice, you said.
Yes.
Who else did they beat?
That was A&M. A&M beat Oregon twice.
Who was I saying? Oh, you said Texas.
Yes, Texas A&M.
Oh, I'm losing it. Yeah, they just were beating everybody.
Everybody. Louisiana, was it Louisiana? Mississippi State had a phenomenal weekend.
Mississippi State.
Yes.
Where am I?
State. I don't know. Where are we?
We're in week 2, and I'm already happening? Like, who's playing?
Everybody's playing. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it.
Everybody's playing everybody, and it's really hard to keep track. But what are you gonna do?
You know who didn't lose again? Oklahoma.
Oh, I am so shocked that I about fell out my chair.
Beyond shocked. I was looking at Oklahoma's schedule today, and I I don't think they are going to legitimately lose a game until they play in Austin in a 3-game series in
That will
April.
be, yeah.
And that will be
You want to
rocking.
go?
I'm kind of thinking about it. We have friends in Texas. I think we can make it happen.
Let's just do it.
Live. We could just do a Base Hits and Banter live from Austin.
How fun would that be?
That'd be fun. We'd bring Mike White on. Maybe we
during the game. During
the game. Maybe we'd bring Kat Osterman on during the
Why
game.
not?
Who knows? Maybe we bring Kaylani Ricketts on. Maybe she's going to be in Austin. Who knows?
I like her.
I love Kaylani.
Big fan.
Maybe we do that. Maybe we put that in the USA softball earbuds.
We have our mini mics, so we can
we can make that happen. Big shout out USA softball for that.
Yeah, thanks. Also, if you guys are wondering why I look so good, it's because I got a ring light. So thank you for noticing.
We're quickly becoming real podcasters.
Oh, legit.
And it's only episode 2.
I can you imagine what episode 3 is going to look like? Because I can't.
Imagine what episode 100 is going to look like with the track we're on right now.
I want to do it like a sitcom where episode 100 just shows our greatest, mostly bloopers, just like highlights from the 100 episodes, and it's us taking a nap.
Doing our meditations.
You want to great recap of the weekend.
Phenomenal.
So much good softball, so many runs scored, games really outside of the 2-hour window there for all ESPN.
Very outside.
But giving the people what they want. Excitement, fun, dingers. 9 home runs in Stanford Georgia Tech game.
Have mercy.
Had to say that. But I would love to transition to the old mental health section.
Do it. Let's talk some mental health. Let's
talk some confidence, right? Like belief in yourself, also known as self-belief.
Yeah.
What do you think are things that have really helped you with your confidence, on and off the field, because I've always felt like you're a confident, very strong person, on and off the field. There's no difference whether your cleats are on or cleats are off. You're just consistent. What are some things that have helped you get to that point in your career?
Yeah, I think for me, confidence is twofold. Like for me to have confidence, I'm going to trust my preparation. So a lot of my confidence when I step onto the field, and even when I'm off of it too, in working full time and interacting with people and giving lessons and like whatever I'm doing, you're not going to outwork me. You won't. And that's just a decision that I've kind of like set, like where, I'm going to be in the cages hitting. I'm going to, make sure I'm watching film of all the pitchers I'm going to face. I want to know and have a plan when I step in the box of like, this is what I'm buying into. This is my approach. And that's one piece of the confidence. And what I've noticed later on, especially, later on in college, early on in the pros, and even now, one thing I've noticed about my confidence level is that it's completely inverse with comparison. So the more I'm comparing myself to other people, the less confident I am in myself. The less I'm comparing myself to other people, the more confident I am in myself. And I think that we can kind of get sucked into social media sometimes. We can get sucked into, especially when you're doing like travel ball and all that stuff, and your friends are getting recruited this place and that place, and maybe you're not, or your journey's just a little bit different, whatever it is. It's like if I'm constantly moving my goalpost to try to match someone else's journey and success, I'm never going to be confident in where I'm at. So I think both of those things hold true for my confidence level. What about you? Because I feel like you always do such a great job of when you step in the box, like you have such consistency in your presence and your confidence level. So I would love to know where that comes from on your end.
That's so nice. What's so funny? I will never forget this. Andrea Filler, who I feel like we already shouted out multiple times on this podcast.
Go Cats.
Go Cats. Her husband came up to me after a game and he said, "Man, watching you in the box with a 3-2 count, you thrive. You go and you cannot you cannot be phased." And I said, "Oh my God, I'm so scared." I'm so happy that I come across that way. And this was last year. And I have thought about that ever since then, that, you know what, maybe I am confident, because there were times in my career where I'm like, Samantha, do not get to 2 strikes. You don't want to get to 2 strikes because then there's only one more and you could be out.
Yeah.
Right. But over the years, like you said, just develop, I think routine helps me a ton with my confidence because it makes me comfortable, right? Like I get you, and you're so the same in that you put the bat up, you take your breath. It's very iconic, Haylie McCleney. And I do the same thing with how I get, what do I do before I get into the box? What am I telling myself if I'm saying anything at all in my brain? And I was so proud that it came across in a way of, man, you can't be phased with that full count.
Right.
And that was a huge moment for me. And that just came last year, 31 years old. And, but trusting the work, I think that is so huge, what you said, that, and for me as well. For those of you who like to read the books, there's a book called Mind Gym by Gary Mack.
Phenomenal.
Absolute game changer. I read that for the first time as a sophomore in college, and my entire world was shattered in a good way. And one of the chapters are like 4 pages long. It's really just to the point, is called Trust Your Stuff. And I love that. I think about that constant. Trust your stuff, man.
Trust your stuff.
There's never been a day that I look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, you didn't give it your best.
Right.
Whether I'm 0 for 3 or 3 for 3, at the end of the day, I'm like, man, you did everything you could today.
Totally.
That's
what it's about. Like, you got to trust your stuff, but make sure you
Yep.
put in the work
Yep.
for your stuff so it can be trusted,
Yes. And one thing we've talked about actually just, over a mug of tea at night, is your work might not look the same as someone else's work. I know for myself,
So true.
I need to take many, many swings, and I need to make sure I'm doing something softball wise many, many days a week. And that is not how some people are good training differently. And if somebody I remember a lesson asking me once, Sam, how many swings a week do you take? I said, I don't want to tell you that answer because it might not be your answer. So you got to find your thing. And like you said, the comparison part that can come with your work ethic and your what your practice and everything on the side is. Do what makes the most sense to you. Whether you go out and take 20 swings and you're like, this is exactly where I want to be, I'm out of here, or you take 100. It's up to you and what makes you feel and perform the best.
Totally. Could not agree more. I always tend to lean on the side of less is more when it comes to the swing, like getting my reps in, because I'm one of those people that, like, if I do too much, I'm going to start doing not so great.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to get really in my head and really analytical about things. Totally. Whereas for me, it's more of like, I just want to feel it. Like, I just want to feel good. I don't want to worry about my mechanics. I don't want to, like, there are certain times and cases where I will, but like, especially when I'm like pre-game BP or like in the middle of season, like, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to have really good hand-eye coordination, find some holes, hit some dingers every now and again, like, less is more. But with that less comes a really high quality. Like, I am absolutely locked in on every single thing that I'm going to take. So yeah, just find what works for you. And that's how you can have some confidence and some swag.
Gosh, the dream. Man, great stuff. I'm inspired.
Love it. Same. And now I want to go hit.
I know. You want to get in the cage?
Yeah, let's do it. But like 20 swings for me. You can stay for your 100.
Oh, no, for sure. As long as you're down to feed, then
sounds great.
We're good.
Warming up.
All right, Halo. What's next? We've got a little talk of the old HPP.
Yes, let's chat about some HPP and maybe some national team news. So last weekend we had 130 athletes being evaluated in Akron, Ohio, as part of the HPP regional identifier. Last year, the U15 women's national team had 10 athletes from across the U.S. that had previously represented their regions at the All-American Games prior to taking the next step and participating in the HPP program. So that is really great. They got a fun fact on here, which I would love to read. The first time for athletes to be able to earn the opportunity to wear USA across their chest came in 2017 as a dream to get 12 and under athletes from each region to come together, play a pool play single elimination event to see who would stand on top of the podium as champions. So fun fact, this has been going on since 2017.
So cool.
Getting better.
Yeah, you're right. And we've got dates coming up. Again, all that information's on the USA Softball website. There's a whole section for the program for HPP. Go and find your region, go compete. I think we have the next one, we have 90 kids signed up already. In the next region, I believe South Carolina is where it's going to be. But yeah, it's really cool. And I love that it says it, it began as a dream, because it really is.
That's so cool.
It really is.
It's so cool. Watching kids put that jersey, like USA jersey on. We talked about this in the last episode. Like, it's one of the coolest things for you to be able to do as an athlete, period, but especially as a softball player, because it's so rare to be able to wear that jersey.
Yeah.
It's just really cool to be able to watch these kids do that. So yeah, this coming weekend, February 24th, over 90 athletes registered to attend. It's in Florence, South Carolina. And you can still register for that event as a walk-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
Anytime.
Anytime. You come on down and we'll evaluate you, because the price is right and you can wear a USA jersey, which is really cool.
This makes for a fun experience.
Yes, always. And we're also 2 weeks out from the College Park, Maryland event, which is March 3rd. And you can find event information at hpp.usasoftball.com.
There it is. Click the link with our voices.
Yes, please do it.
All right.
I wonder if AI could generate that for us.
Yeah, we say it and it like flashes up. It's like, here you go.
Pops up in those like reality vision goggles or whatever they have now.
I see the website. All right. So we are super excited. We've got a guest for you guys coming up. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. A lot to look forward to.
I'm so excited.
We can't wait for you guys to listen in.
At Higginbotham, we put people first. Our specialists are here to serve you, the people you care about, and your success. Insurance, HR, and financial services. Inspired by you.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are here with our first ever guest. It's exciting. It's special. It's Janie Reed. Hey, Janie.
Hello. Hi. Great to see you.
Thanks for joining us. You know a lot about base hits and banter.
Yeah.
So, I do. We couldn't think of a better first guest.
We're making history today, folks.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Exciting stuff.
Would love to give the people just a small little bio about the things that you accomplished as a softball player, if you're interested in learning about yourself. Graduated from the University of Oregon. Like, is that like that? Okay, great. In 2015, where you were not once, not twice, but thrice time All-American.
Quack, quack.
Quack, 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 quack. Thrice. You just last year were inducted in the Pac-12 Hall of Honor, which is so gangster. Okay. But that's not all. You played with Team USA from 2015 to 2021, where you were an Olympic silver medalist in Tokyo. So, I mean, that speaks for itself. I think that concludes the interview. Janie, what do you think about when you hear stuff like that? You did all those things.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I feel like you guys can relate. Obviously, I'm in good company. Where you just like kept playing and then you just kept accomplishing things, and you're like, whoa, how did this happen? How did I get here? So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about exactly how you got there. I mean, was it easy breezy, beautiful cover girl? Did you go through some lows? Like, take us a little bit through, maybe give us like a high and a low of your softball career and how you got through that low.
Yeah, I just saw someone at the cages that I give lessons at last week, and they were like, so what's the roadmap to the Olympics? And I'm like, I mean, it's a long one. And truly, like, when people say like everybody's journey is different, like, it's just so true. But I would say, like, what comes to mind is that I have 2 older sisters that played softball, so I kind of just followed in their footsteps. And then when I was 12, I wanted to quit softball and become a dancer. So let's all just like praise God that didn't happen. But
you would have been a TikTok influencer.
I'm actually,
if that existed.
Probably could have made more money.
Hey,
Truly.
Not wrong.
Um, but yeah, then I remember like I just kept on going, and my parents like talked to me about like I had to kind of take a step back. I had joined like a more intense travel ball team. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of too much for me right now because I was only 12. And so then I joined a team with like all my friends and, wanted to like enjoy the game more. And then when I got to high school, at the time I thought I just wanted to kind of go to a small school, also be in a sorority. I've always like, sought balance in my life. Didn't just want to be like softball, softball, softball. But then when I got to high school, I was like, I started to have more success. And then that's when I got to the point where I was like, okay, I think I could be, I want to see how good I can be. And so then I started to be more interested in, like, I really wanted to play in the Pac-12. So that became my goal. And then when I got to Oregon, I remember I had like a good freshman year. And then I went home after that year, and my dad and I were just like, I think I can be like way better. So then we just worked our butts off all summer, all winter break. Like I remember breaks were really big for me. Like obviously in season, you're getting your work in, but then like summer break and winter break, it's like you don't have school. So just like work really, really hard. And then I feel like I kind of found my own after that.
That's such a good point about the breaks. I think that can truly make or break an athlete. Like you think about winter break, you guys just went through a fall and then you get back to school, you're like, hey, season's tomorrow.
Right.
So what, there's that big accountability piece. And I think that's something that in this conversation, like you said, with this company, accountability is huge because people aren't watching you. People aren't telling you what to do a lot of times, especially after college. So learning that at a young age, I think probably carried a lot into your post-collegiate work ethic of, well, I got to do it whether somebody tells me to or not.
Yeah. And I think that really came from my parents. Like my dad, just like a hard worker, instilled hard work in us. And then my mom, like every time we were like, I don't want to go to practice, she'd be like, well, then quit. And we'd be like, oh, I don't want to quit.
That's
All right.
awesome. That's
awesome. Like,
awesome.
okay, honey, you don't have to go to practice. She was like, you either quit or you go to practice.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
That's
awesome.
so high quality.
That's great. I want to ask you, Janie, too, about what kind of influence Mike White had on you as well, because we're recapping a lot on this podcast, and he's doing a lot of really good stuff at Texas now, and you got the chance to play for him for 4 years. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about what it's like to play for him? Because on the outside looking in, he's a super passionate guy, and I think a lot of people read him the wrong way, but you can tell he loves the game and he loves his players. So, like, I want to peek inside the huddle a little bit of what it was like to be a SCO Duck.
I mean, yeah, you look at what he did with our program. Like when I was getting recruited in high school, my mom was like, hey, Oregon just got a new coaching staff. That's when he had just gotten there, and Lisa Dodd and Jessica Allister were with him too. Like what a staff.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, shout out to my mom. She just like, she knew that was quality. They were going to do great things. And I was like, I don't know. Oregon was at the bottom of the Pac-12 at the time. And then like his first year there, they either made it to regionals or super regionals. I can't remember, but like he took that program from a bottom of the Pac-12 program to consistently going to super regionals and the World Series. We went to the World Series the first time in 20 years, my freshman year. And then it was just like automatic after that. So I think, in order to build a program that is like, that sustains, talent and success is special. And he's a winner, he wants to win, and he not only has the capabilities to prepare you to win, because I think that competitive nature, he is, he'll prep you with the video, with the on-field stuff, with the hitters get prepped because he's such a savvy, he has a savvy pitcher's mind. And just like everything is geared towards like, how are we going to win? And I feel like that's just a mindset shift that probably, is a lot of what took our program from where it was to what it became. Is just like you go from hoping that you're going to have success or hoping that you like might win to like, no, this is the expectation. This is like how we're going to get there. And then, obviously the day in and day out grind of like just working hard and setting the standard. So yeah, I mean, obviously he's done what he's done at Oregon. He's now doing great things at Texas. So that competitive nature and that like just hunger to win is very evident when you're playing for him.
I remember he was our pitching coach for USA my first summer in 2012, and me being me, just so dumb. And I'm like, can you say something in an American accent? All summer, bothering him. And finally, at the end of summer, I was like, can you please say something in an American accent? And this guy says, Holly want a cracker. And just dead face, I said, of all the things you could have said.
Love that guy. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Did he just carve you up all summer too?
Yeah, no, he's like, you want to feel good about yourself or really, really bad about yourself? Because I can do both.
We had like one round of what we call doubles, which are like cookies. And then the rest was just like whatever we were going to face that weekend. And like the worst was like someone who threw a drop inside.
Ugh.
And you're just like, Lord, please help my shins today.
This is the worst. The absolute worst.
Janie, I want to ask about this playing, if you remember that one time when you were playing in the Olympics and you made this catch in the outfield that looked like the Michael Jordan, like Jordan symbol.
It did. We need to draw.
Yeah.
It's the Jordan logo.
Like iconic slam dunk contest looking. Man. Do you remember that?
I think I remember that.
You might have blacked out. You might have blacked out.
I think I really did. I mean, obviously, because I forgot the outs and I went to go chuck the ball into the infield and then realized it was a turnout.
I think it was like 3:00 in the morning in Arizona, and I'm like, is that Michael Jordan? What was going through your head? Like, first of all, during it, you're in the game, but then maybe seeing it after.
Man, well, during that game, my like mantra to myself was just like play this ball. Like I was like saying that out loud because it was just like so hard to be in the moment during that game because like we're literally in the gold medal game, like
blacked out.
Just wild. Yeah, just wild. And so I was just trying to like make myself be in the moment. And then yeah, all like prepping like during BP and practice and stuff at that field. I feel like we were just trying to like the outfielders were just trying to like get acclimated to the wall. There was a weird angle on the foul line. So I remember like Dobbs was trying to hit me balls like right on, and I was trying to like parkour off, like just trying to prepare for like every possible situation.
Yeah.
And I think even before it was either that game or another game, like Chitty was asking me like how I.
Of course she was, number one. I don't even know the question, and I already know.
So Chitty.
It's so Chitty.
Somebody asked me how I like climbed the wall or something. So I was like showing her. So like, I don't know. She like foreshadowing. She knew that was going to happen. And
she was doing it.
I was like,
you, right? Like she was trying to do it herself as well.
Oh man. And then even full circle, like I remember like my first summer on USA, that was actually one of my struggles in college was like finding the wall because everybody always teaches you to like peek back, but I would like look so fast that I like didn't even like take in what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And I remember asking like Bergie, and I'm pretty sure like you, Halo, like just like how to better do that better. And yeah, just like I literally remember to this day like you guys telling me to like look back and like take my time and trust that like I'm going to find the ball again. I remember watching you, Halo, like you tilted your shoulders so that like you weren't like turning your head so much, and just like it's cool, like we learned so much from each other, and then you get a moment like that and you're like, yeah, that's the culmination of like just taking it all in and taking little things from people, and then you know get a awesome opportunity like that.
It's the best catch I've ever seen. Like, no joke. It's the best catch I have ever seen. I remember, like, off the bat, it was an immediate, like, oh no. Like an oh no. And then literally it was as if you appeared out of nowhere, climbed a ladder off of the wall, and like it's literally one of the best moments. Like, I will never forget looking at you after you made that catch, being like, that was it. That was their thought. It was so freaking awesome. Oh my gosh, it was so freaking
That's
awesome.
beautiful.
You stole my question, Sam. I wanted to ask.
Oh, you were gonna.
about
I've
that.
been thinking about it all day.
I have to. I was like, I have to ask her.
I'm like,
see if she even remembers it.
I gotta ask her. Remember that one time?
Unbelievable.
It's cool too. Is like it like is also a testament to like I'm not a naturally like aggressive player, and I just think that's what's cool about sports and like softball is that like you get to, like opportunities to overcome your own like nature to things, or like your own like the limitations that you put on yourself. Like the game gives you opportunities to like beat those things, you know, like no, I can like become this player that can run full speed backwards and climb a wall and catch a ball at the same time. Like, what? I never would have thought that I could do something like that.
Unbelievable. And it's cool to hear you talk about like how you struggled with it, and you just all of a sudden it became one of the like to me in your career, it's one of the things that just stands out the most. That's the coolest. Can you talk a little bit about like the mindset that you felt like you had in the outfield, maybe to get through some of those struggles, and even at the plate? I know being your teammate for as long as I have been, like, you want to be perfect and you want to be as prepared as you possibly can be. Can you talk us through just your mindset on all of that stuff? Because I know I personally got better from playing next to you as long as I did, and I think a lot of other people on the national team felt that way as well.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, a lot went into that. One of my goals at the Olympics was to be in a mindset to where I would be willing to take risks, which maybe to someone else it may not seem like a risk, but like you said, because I ultimately like want to be perfect and want to achieve, sometimes that can hold me back from being willing to do something that brings me out of my comfort zone and like play it safe. But in the end, playing it safe usually ends the worst. So like even if that's like sitting on a changeup or like buying into a plan instead of trying to hit everything and just make contact, like am I willing to take the risk and like trust myself, trust the plan that I have prepared for myself or whatever it may be, and like buy into something and really like go for it. So that is a little against my nature. Like I want to play everything safe, but a lot of times that ends up like me putting limitations on myself. So a lot of the work that went into it was just like kind of figuring out like what if everything, and I got this from the It Takes What It Takes book, but like if everything went well, what would it look like? How would I get there? You know, what would happen? And if everything went terribly, what would that look like? How would I get there? And all of the things that kind of like were hindering me and would lead to not good results were all the things that like I just had to like overcome, which is like trying to be perfect or like fearing failure or just like letting the moment get too big or trying to play it safe. All those things, I just use those like training camps to like set little goals each and every day to try and challenge myself so that way by the time I got to the Olympics, it was like I was in a headspace where I was able to execute the things that would lead to my success. So there's a lot of prep and a lot of work. But I was so proud of where I got to because it took so much work and so much preparation. And I really felt like by the time I got there, I was able to like play well. So.
And play well you did.
Surely. I think what, bringing up the perfection aspect, I think is really important because I too suffer in times about the perfect. And I think we all know that perfect is unattainable. Other than this bun, I'm not going to lie, it looks pretty perfect today. Okay.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm going to give myself that.
Right.
But in sport, especially in ours, perfect is not attainable. But kind of what you're talking about, and something that Halo and I have talked about too, is accepting that part of yourself and working with it instead of trying to change that about yourself. Because look at you strive for perfection. It's like that super cheesy saying of shoot for the moon and you land among the stars. I'm so sorry for saying that. But when you're striving for perfection, that I know super, super duper bad, but you're shooting for perfection and you're working your tush off to get there, you achieve greatness. So I think what, something that I know I personally learned from you in the discussion of perfectionism is I know I'm trying to achieve that. I know it's not possible, but this is my nature. And how can you possibly change something that's so inherently Janie,
Yeah. And let's not forget my mantra from, the Rawlings mantra back. Excellence knows it's not going to be perfect. But you guys
That's your mantra.
this, right?
I remember that. Outside, that's number 2 on your highlight reel after the catch in the gold medal game. That mantra is number 2. But it's a great mantra.
But that really did help me. That was from my sports psych person. Because it changed my framework of like excellence is still pretty dang close to like being perfect, but it helped me figure out like that part of excellence is failing and learning from it and getting better, whereas like perfection kind of rejects any type of failure. So
oh my God.
Whoa. I don't know where that came from.
It was so good. I have goosebumps all through my body.
My head's exploding.
Holy buckets.
Holy buckets. I'm foaming at the mouth.
Stop there because I can't top that. So.
This is so good. You're so right. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Perspective when you haven't played in 2 years. So
kind of a follow-up. Would love to know.
Talk about.
Would love to know. You retired in 21. It is now 2024. So it's been probably about 2.5 years since your last game.
Yeah.
How have you reflected on your career now that it's done, complete? How have you reflected? Are there things that you wish you would have done? Or is there anything you would change? Is there anything you wish you could tell yourself? Those kinds of questions. Thank you.
You know what? The only thing I wish I could change was my last AU season. Because, man, it was so hard to like come home from the Olympics and then play in that season. And I just feel like I was so fatigued from like everything that the Olympics took out of me that I really didn't give that last AU season like my best. Like just like I just felt like I didn't have the like emotional or mental capacity. So if I could change anything, I just wish I would have gone out like on a little bit of a higher note. And like, again, that's like just like my own personal process. Like I wish I would have just like been able to work my process through that last season, not talking strictly about results. But other than that, like I feel like everything that I learned, I have been able to take into being a parent, and I'm still trying to apply those things to being a parent. But I remember thinking like at the end, I'm like, I just like learned all this stuff and like got myself to this elite level, and then like if I don't play, then what is it all for? But everything, we all say it, it's like, but it's really is true. Like everything you learn in softball, you take into your life,
For
and
sure.
it applies to life. And it makes you just like a more elite human. So it's all good. But I miss, if anything, I miss just hanging out with everybody. Like that's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to play cards.
I know. Like, and it's just like we're all over the place. Like
Yeah.
your best friends are like literally all over the United States, and then you stop playing and you're like, okay, never gonna see you ever again, or what?
I
That's hard.
gotta hang out with Jake 24/7.
Yeah.
A
What the
boy.
heck?
I gotta hang out with a boy. Oh,
Yeah. And co-parent.
yeah.
Which, by the way, this is Micah's room.
Is it
So
really?
he-
That's
That
so
is so
sweet.
cute.
He has to
Stop.
stare at this nonsense every day, but he needs to know who his parents are.
That's right.
Absolutely. No pressure, little guy, but
Yeah.
gonna need you to get you a jersey up on that wall. You know what I'm saying? No
Micah,
pressure.
we've made our whole world about you, but let's be real. Who's the whole world about? It's about us. Okay. I
Exactly.
mean, that's the lesson I'm taking from this.
Yes, precisely.
Period.
Now that you mentioned, before we wrap up, I want to talk about the parent aspect, like you said, how it's transitioned into that. How do you feel like in raising Micah, if he does play baseball, how do you feel like you want to create his childhood of sport? Like, would you want it to be exactly what you went through? Would you want it to be completely different? I would love to know that the lessons that you've learned that's transitioning now into being a parent, even though he is so small right now. I don't know if he's throwing a baseball yet, but soon.
He throws stuff, so he's getting there.
Stuff.
He
Love
literally
him.
goes like, and
Good.
I'm like kind of impressed. So
Is he right-handed or left-handed?
he's right-handed.
That's
He
okay.
All right.
like only eats with his right hand. Like I'll put
Okay.
something on the far left side of his tray and he'll like reach over with his right hand. I'm like,
It's okay.
He can hit lefty though. We
Yeah.
can make him hit lefty.
I'm a righty and I
Exactly.
converted, so.
There you go.
There's hope.
But anyway, sorry. What was the end of your question?
Just how do you feel like you will use your experience of growing up in sport to channel that for Micah?
Yeah, I think so I grew up pretty much just playing softball. I played like 2 seasons of soccer, hated all the running, and
Yeah.
so then it was who would ever want to play soccer? I don't
Sorry.
Other than Ali Aguilar, I literally can't think of any other person that wants to play soccer.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then Jake played like all the sports growing up. So he played baseball, football, basketball. And he's a great athlete. Halo, you played basketball and anything else?
I played Pee Wee football one
Yeah.
time.
Don't
Okay.
forget that.
Yeah.
You like pretty much grew up playing football probably with your brothers and your dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were football, we were riding dirt bikes, skateboards, I did incline rollerblading, like all of the stuff. We literally played X Games and all the sports in our backyard. So, but yeah.
And might I say, you're probably one of the best athletes ever as well.
Period.
So my assessment is that I think the more sports you play, the more athletic you are. That doesn't have to mean like competitively, like,
Right.
but just like being a well-rounded athlete, I think is something that both Jake and I value. So I think like at least for the beginning, because I haven't really thought past like age like 6, but at least for the beginning, I would say like our goal is going to be to just like play a lot and like just like make it fun, but also like competitive. And obviously it depends on what he enjoys doing, but like as far as sports goes, like if he's interested in sports and just playing, I think just like playing with him a lot and like he'll do like t-ball or whatever, but like I think not being so focused on like organized sports so much in the beginning and just like backyard baseball, backyard basketball, backyard football, and just like teach like how to use like your natural athleticism to play versus like from this beginning of your athletic career, like always being like taught. And I don't know, like I think about you, Halo, like your swing, like you can't teach that came from you playing,
Yeah, how
and
bizarre.
and look where it's gotten you. Like if someone would have changed that from like a very young age, like you wouldn't be you,
Right. Totally.
I love that.
So
Totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let the kids play.
exactly.
Let the kids play. Let the
And then
kids-
Now,
and
if
then
your
the-
swing is really, really bad, I might step in.
You're not getting the
If we're
job done
missing
a
a lot.
little bit.
no, let's
Right.
face it, George is gonna step in. Let's face it. Yeah. We'll have Grandpa George step in.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's fun because then I think it could lead from being a kid playing to then a teenager playing to an adult playing. Because at the end of the day, we all
Right.
talk about the love of the game, and when you play a long time,
Exactly.
you gotta have fun and love what you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah. And like learn competitiveness like
Mhm.
before you focus so much on like the other facets, like just
Yeah.
like compete and like want to win. And like that should be your focus for like at least your first few years. Like,
Yeah.
and then that hopefully like remains a constant. I just feel like I think it's just part of my nature, but like I feel like sometimes I was more focused on my performance than just like competing and trying to win. And
Mm.
so like what I
Mhm.
want in him, and like Jake, like his whole life, he just like was a competitor. And then once he got to pro ball, it's a lot more individualized. And it's like everyone can agree, like it's not as fun when you're more focused on yourself and your own
Right.
performance versus like team and just competing. So that's
Mhm.
what I want for Micah.
Sure.
It's beautiful. I want that
Yeah.
for Micah too.
Yeah.
So not only did I have my mind blown earlier when you did your mic drop moment,
My
but now I'm
goodness.
crying. So
Yeah.
sobbing over here.
So I think
Micah's got great parents.
Yes, he does.
Let's just put
Aw,
that out in
thanks.
the let's put
Thank
there. Micah's
Yes,
a
he
lucky little
does.
dude.
yes, he does. I mean, what a well-rounded first guest. We
Honestly.
laughed, we cried, we got goosebumps.
It's gonna be hard to top,
Hey.
honestly.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
hard to
Well,
top.
it was a joy. Honestly, I would like to do this more often off the record because
Okay.
I miss you both so much.
Yeah, I did brag a little bit to Halo that you guys are coming out here for spring training. It was a light brag.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get on a flight and might
Yeah.
crash your guys' party. So sorry about it.
Sleepover.
Sorry about it. Sleepover at the Cooks.
That's us.
Cooking at the
I
Cooks.
can just picture it. You, Sam, Halo, Micah in the middle, little sleepover. You each have a sleeping bag.
I'm gonna make that my holiday card. So, great.
Literally crying.
well, Janie, we love you. Thanks for
I love you guys too.
thanks for
Love you
joining.
so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, was that not an outstanding interview with Janie Reed?
Janie Takeda Reed is easily one of my most favorite left fielders of all time.
Just
It's not even close.
yeah, just and as a person, real winner.
She's great. She's like,
real winner.
I mean, honestly, one of the best humans to ever walk the planet. One of the
Truly.
best teammates we've both ever played with, I
Ever.
think. So, yeah,
I'm so glad that she made the time to come on and have some banter with us.
yeah, same. Quack,
Good.
quack, Janie.
Quack quack. Quack quack is banter in duck. So let's take let's take a look at what's ahead, Halo.
Well, hey, speaking of getting nutty on base hits and banter, the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic is out in Cathedral City, California this weekend, folks. We have got, listen to this lineup of teams, Samu. We got OU, Baylor,
Mhm.
Oregon State, Tennessee, UCLA, your LMU Lions. You got Nebraska, Utah, Northwestern, UCF, and Mississippi State, and like a host of other California schools as well out there. So that is going
My goodness.
to be epic.
My goodness.
It's going to get nutty out there for sure. You've also got Oklahoma State and Washington Thursday at
That'll be good.
USF, which will be great. And Virginia Tech is visiting Georgia for a couple of games on Friday and Saturday. What are you most looking forward to this weekend?
I mean, LMU is playing Oklahoma on the 25th. So
You heard it here first, people.
you heard it here first, people. First loss of the season for the Sooners.
Go Lions.
LMU has put up some good battles in the years past. It's actually my dad's birthday on the day they play again this year. It was the same. They played again last year on his birthday. So Rick wants a win.
What better birthday present could we get Rick?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm gonna send him a card. But the Lions winning, that will top my card.
Probably.
So yeah, big weekend of softball coming up. A lot of great matchups. I feel like we've talked about nothing but good matchups, and it's going to just continue on.
It is. Every week's only going to get better from here on out until we are in Oklahoma City. It's going to be a great old spring for the softball. You're
darn tootin'. You are tootin'. We do want to mention, if you're watching on YouTube and you can take a look at what Halo's wearing here, that is courtesy of the USA Softball Store. And that thing rocks.
Okay. It's honestly the most comfortable sweatshirt I own.
It is so comfy, so light. It's like, in Miss Congeniality, which is like, my favorite date is April 25th. All you need is a light jacket. It's the perfect April 25th outfit. Yeah. You guys can check out all of the stuff that we wear, except for this was a gift. So I'm talking about
really just my sweatshirt.
Yeah, Halo sweatshirt. Check out usasoftballstore.com, and right now you can use the code BHB15 for 15% off of your purchases. When I tell you I have a number of things in my wardrobe from the USA Softball Store, I'm not exaggerating. It's
so many.
It's good stuff.
It's high quality. It's comfortable.
Like
it's cozy. It grows the game.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what more you could ask for.
We are two really big fashion icons as well. So I understand why people would want to dress like us. So check that out. And it's been another great episode of Old Base Hits and Banters up here, Halo.
It's been phenomenal. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is just one of the coolest things that we get to do in our daily lives, is just get to be on here and chit chat about all things softball and life and banter and have a good time doing it.
So much banter. Until we meet again, my friends. See you next week.
And holy buckets.
Team USA has brought me opportunities that I never thought would happen before, and I'm super humbled to be able to represent my country.
There's so much talent in the United States playing softball right now, and we want to see the game continue to grow and prosper and develop.
I want to develop not just men, but women's softball as well.
I want to see more girls like me playing this sport.
I just hope one day that I could be somewhat mentioned, like a Natasha Watley, to help this game.
I just remember watching everyone in the Olympics, and you guys just representing this country. And for me playing USA softball, I just want to do the same.